B2B email marketing, the 2025 Playbook for Success, the 2025 B2B inbox reality, and why most teams lose. If you sell B2B in 2025, the inbox is crowded, skeptical, and fast to ignore anything that feels templated. Prospects have seen the recycled, just bumping this follow-ups, the faux personalization, and the AI spam that reads like a press release. The result isn't that email stopped working, it's that low-signal email stopped working. What's changed is the bar for relevance and execution. You can't volume your way into pipeline with a huge mixed list, a generic sequence, and a vague CTA. That approach tanks replies, increases spam complaints, and quietly damages your domain reputation until every campaign, good or bad, starts underperforming. This playbook is about building a B2B email system that supports SDRs, consistently books meetings, and scales without breaking deliverability. We'll focus on the parts that actually move pipeline in 2025: tight ICP segmentation, multi-touch sequencing, clear conversion metrics, replies and meetings, and coordination with the rest of your outbound motion. Why email still anchors B2B outbound in 2025. Despite the hype around new channels, email remains the most reliable backbone for sales development because buyers still prefer it. Research consistently shows 73 to 77% of B2B buyers want vendors to contact them via email, which is why the best outbound sales agency motions start in the inbox and expand outward, not the other way around. The economics are still hard to beat. Average email ROI is commonly cited around $36 to $40 for every $1 spent, which is why email continues to outperform many paid demand gen channels when it's run as a system. Once your list, infrastructure, and messaging are dialed in, incremental sends are cheap, but only if you protect deliverability and keep targeting disciplined. Email also plays well with the channels that win deals in 2025. LinkedIn outreach services, targeted ads, and calling. A cold calling agency or an internal cold calling team becomes more effective when prospects have already seen a relevant email. Likewise, email converts better when the prospect recognizes your name from a profile view, connection request, or a quick voicemail. The channel mix matters, but email is still the connective tissue. Benchmarks you should use to set targets, not excuses. Before you fix copy, you need a baseline for what normal performance looks like in 2025. Across broad datasets, global averages hover around a 31.2% open rate and 3.8% click-through rate, CTR, with B2B services averaging about 33.1% opens. Those numbers are most useful for opt-in lists and nurture programs, where opens and clicks are real indicators of engagement. Cold outbound is a different game because you're optimizing for conversations. Most teams see 3 to 5% reply rates, while top programs consistently reach 15 to 25% plus by tightening ICPs, improving hooks, and following up with discipline. If you're stuck at 1 to 2% replies, it's usually not market conditions. It's list quality, relevance, deliverability, and weak asks. Set goals that map to pipeline, not vanity. For cold email, track reply rate, positive reply rate, and meetings booked per 1,000 delivered emails. For nurture, track influenced pipeline and reactivation rate, leads that return to a conversation. This keeps SDRs and marketing aligned on outcomes instead of celebrating opens that don't turn into revenue. Build the engine. ICP, data quality, and deliverability first. The fastest way to waste a good market is to blast a huge mixed list with one generic sequence. In practice, you want small, ICP-specific segments that share the same pains, triggers, and buying context. Then you write messaging that feels like it was designed for that segment. If your team doesn't have the bandwidth, this is where list-building services and a specialized SDR agency can outperform ad hoc internal sourcing. Next, get the plumbing right so your outreach is consistent and measurable. Your CRM should be the source of truth. Your engagement platform should manage sequences and tasks, and your suppression/opt-out rules must be unified across systems. When data gets messy, duplicates, stale titles, conflicting opt-outs, your metrics lie, reps lose trust, and you can't diagnose what's actually broken. Deliverability is sales ops in 2025, not an afterthought. Authenticate domains, SBF, DKIM, DMARC, warm mailboxes before scaling, keep volumes sensible per mailbox, and clean bounces, inactive contacts aggressively. When teams ignore deliverability until it's a crisis, they often misread the symptoms as bad copy, when the real issue is that fewer prospects are seeing the email at all. In 2025, the best email isn't the cleverest, it's the one that earns a reply because it's specific, timely, and easy to say yes to. Cold outbound that books meetings, relevance, rhythm, and a real ask. A high-performing cold email program is a sequence, not a one-shot message. Most meetings don't come from the first touch, so you need a consistent rhythm over a few weeks with varied angles that stay anchored to the same core problem. When teams run one-touch campaigns with no follow-up, they undercount real interest and leave pipeline on the table. Personalization matters, but it has to be the right kind. Studies show personalized subject lines can lift opens by about 26%, but opens don't pay the bills, replies do. The goal is to prove relevance fast, a role-specific pain, a company-level trigger, and one crisp outcome you can credibly drive, followed by a low-friction CTA like, worth a quick 15-minute chat to pressure test this? The best teams don't treat email in isolation from calling. Pair your sequence with a smart calling plan, whether in-house or through cold calling services, so prospects experience consistent messaging across channels. Done well, email creates familiarity and context, and the call becomes a helpful continuation, not an interruption, which is exactly how modern B2B cold calling services outperform dial-and-smile telemarketing. Nurture is the compounding advantage most teams still ignore. Cold outbound starts conversations, but nurture turns not now into revenue. Email remains the primary nurture channel for many teams, with about 69% of marketers relying on it. Yet most companies still underinvest in structured workflows. That gap is a quiet opportunity. If you keep showing up with useful insights, you win mindshare while competitors go silent. Automation is where the leverage is. Automated emails can drive 320% more revenue than one-off blasts because they arrive when the prospect is most receptive, after a download, a webinar, a pricing page visit, or a stalled opportunity. The trick is to use automation for timing and routing while keeping the voice human and the content genuinely helpful. A practical approach is a 12-week nurture cadence that alternates between benchmarks, short case snippets, and point-of-view insights that match the prospect's role. This also makes your SDR handoffs cleaner. When sales re-engages, they're not restarting cold. They're continuing a narrative the prospect already recognizes. Common mistakes that quietly kill reply rates, and how to fix them. The most expensive mistake is blasting one generic sequence to a mixed list. It trains prospects to ignore you and teaches inbox providers that your mail isn't wanted, which creates a long-term deliverability tax that shows up as falling opens, clicks, and replies. The fix is simple but operationally demanding. Segment tightly and run a small set of tailored sequences per ICP, each built around a single pane and a single offer. Another common trap is optimizing for opens and clicks instead of conversations and meetings. You can hit a 33% open rate and still book almost nothing if your CTA is vague, too marketing-y, or buried under fluff. In 2025, the best outbound teams report on reply rate, positive reply rate, and meetings booked, and they review performance weekly like a revenue team, not a content team. Finally, teams often treat deliverability like a technical footnote and then panic when performance collapses. Protecting sender reputation requires ongoing hygiene, sensible sending limits, consistent authentication, bounce management, and monitoring spam signals before they become a crisis. If you're considering sales outsourcing or an outsourced sales team, ask how they manage deliverability and list hygiene, because without it, no amount of copywriting will save the program. Optimization and scale. How to keep winning through 2025. Once the foundation is stable, scale comes from controlled experimentation. Pick 1 or 2 variables each month: subject lines, openers, CTAs, offer angle, or segment definition, and document what wins so new reps aren't reinventing the wheel. This is how top teams move from "we sent a campaign" to "we operate an outbound machine." AI can help you scale personalization without turning SDR work into a research treadmill. The goal is not to generate robotic copy. It's to layer lightweight, accurate context onto a proven template so your reps spend more time in conversations. At SalesHive, we use our platform and eMod-style customization to operationalize personalization and testing across sequences, which is why a disciplined system can outperform hero rep efforts that don't scale. If you're evaluating whether to hire SDRs internally or partner with an SDR agency, use a clear decision filter. Can your team maintain list quality, deliverability, testing cadence, and a coordinated calling motion? For many companies, an outbound sales agency model or pay-per-appointment lead generation approach is faster than building from scratch, especially when you also need cold calling services alongside email. If you want to evaluate fit, SalesHive Reviews, SalesHive Pricing, and SalesHive.com will give you a clear picture of how we structure programs, while SalesHive Careers reflects the talent depth behind our delivery.